Okay, here are the supplies that we're going to use for our metal filled mug today. First of all, you're going to need a thermal mug that you can fill the inside with. You're going to need a template, which usually comes inside the mug, or sometimes you can find them online to match up with the mug size. You're going to need a piece of 40 gauge aluminum tooling foil. This one is 9 by 12 size. You're going to need a paper stump. You're going to need some sort of pointy tipped, you can use a dull pencil or a Teflon tipped tool. You're going to need a mouse pad or a piece of fun foam, something with a little bit of push. You're going to need some texture plates. These are a variety of 10-second Studios texture plates. You could also use a Cuttlebug texture plate. You're going to need a pair of scissors, sanding block. I'm using a textured metal wheel. You could use a tracing wheel to apply my outlines, and I'm also going to need baby wipes. All right, let's get started. Okay, we're going to work with metal again this week. This time we're going to fill a mug. This is a thermal travel mug. And a lot of times you see these filled with photos, collage, and that sort of thing. And this time we're going to emboss the metal to fill our mug. So the first thing we need to do is take the template out of the inside of the mug. The bottom of it screws off, and usually there's a plastic liner in there that we use as a template. I've prepared one in advance so that I have this cardstock piece. And what I want to do is take something semi-sharp. I'm going to take one of these Teflon tipped tools like we worked with last time. It's a pointy tool. You could use kind of a dull pencil to do this as well. And basically what I'm doing is I'm tracing around the outside edge of my template so that I know exactly what I need to fill in when I'm embossing. And I can go ahead and cut this out at this point. The foil is fine for your scissors. It actually works to sharpen your scissors, some say. And so I'm just going to cut out right on this line. There's a couple of different ways that I can apply texture to this. I can apply it through a machine, and I'm kind of cutting off the edge here, but that's okay because there's a little lip at the top that covers that up. So if it's not exactly perfect at the top and the bottom, it gets covered up a little bit. So anyway, the different types of ways that I can apply texture to this, you can run this through the Cuttlebug machine. However, there is going to be a gap in the center of it, and I'll show you that in just a second. Well, you can use the hand tools, the texture plates, like we talked about last time. You can use these to apply texture with the paper stump and these tools. Like I did again in the dog tag video. But this is what I'm talking about. When you have these Cuttlebug plates, you can see how that'll line up that way. It'll line up this way, but I'm going to end up with this gap right here in the middle that I can't quite get to work exactly right. I could start in the center and then do my pieces out to the sides. It's a little fussy. Not that it doesn't work, but if you want your piece to be more organic, maybe not looking so machine done, I would suggest using these texture plates. And so that's what we're going to do today. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to section this off because I want to fill in with several different places for my texture to fill in. And what I want to do for that is I want to take some sort of like a mouse pad or some sort of cushy mat, place my metal on top of it, and I'm going to take this decorative wheel. This is another one of the tools that we have here. There's lots of different wheels you can see in this container. But I'm going to take this wheel and I'm going to section off some places to fill in with different designs. Okay, so kind of patchworked my piece up here, and I may decide to do another one like that, and another one like that. Okay, so now I've got lots, and why stop there? There we go. I've got lots of different areas to fill in here with different, excuse me, texture. So I'm going to be picking lots of different textures to fill in. I'm going to go ahead and leave my cushy mat here because that keeps it from sliding around. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these textures and I'm just going to rub inside my area that I've sectioned off with the side of this paper stump. So I'm just rubbing it down. I'm not going to put so much work into this one to get my texture super defined, because even just a little bit of rubbing like this gives me enough high points that I can take my sanding block and lightly buff it, and you really see that pattern emerge. Okay, so there's one piece. I'm going to move on. And again, if I want to try and see exactly where my design is going to be, I just rub it gently with my finger first so that I can see placement, and that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this piece with this design. And again, I'm not killing my hand here by really getting all of this super defined, but I'll use the point of this paper stump. I'll use the side of it to get lots of area done pretty quickly. Okay, and then always take my sanding block before I move my piece off of my texture plate. I'll take my sanding block to the surface and get that pattern defined. Okay, and I'm going to keep going on. I might edit this part out so you don't have to sit here and watch me do each one of these patterns, but it's the same thing. I'm just going to keep adding my texture into the area. Take my sanding block, add the definition, and keep going. Now here's an interesting thing. Some of the texture, actually most of the texture plates, you can either emboss or deboss. That means I can apply the texture from the front side and it's going to look one way, as you can see in this rose texture plate. This is one that's most strikingly different. When I apply my texture from behind like this and I sand, you get these very interesting roses that are just look like, let me see that, it just look like they're hand drawn, like a little spiral. Now if I were to take my metal and apply that rose pattern on the back side, which I'm going to do on this one, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just applying the texture to the back side of the metal, flipped my metal over. So now what it's doing is it's debossing my pattern. Then when I flip my pattern over and I sand the high points, I get a completely different look for this rose. Can you see that? So there's one look for the rose. That's when I did the metal, I did the texture on the back side, and there's the first one where I did the texture on the front side. So it's interesting to see the different patterns, the different textures that you get with your texture plates, whether you apply the texture from the back side or whether you flip your metal over and apply it from the other side. All right, I'm going to stop right now just so that the video doesn't go on and on and on. And I'm going to clean my metal. Before I put it into my mug, I want to clean it off. I would have filled in these last 3 spots as well before I do this, but for the sake of video length, here's my other trick. To get the metal rounded in the right shape to go in the bottom of this mug, I take it and I wrap it around the outside of the mug first. I get it going in that shape. Then I take the bottom off. I'm going to continue to coil or roll my metal up till the top is smaller than the bottom, and then I'm going to ever so carefully. And sometimes you have to readjust the metal at the top so that it's not folding in on itself. Ever so gently push the metal down into the mug. And I'm kind of glad this is happening on the video, because then you see how I adjust it. What's happening is this metal is folding down on the inside. So you want to adjust that so that that doesn't happen. And again, try it one more time. And you just press the metal down in there. And like I said, any parts where I cut over the edge at the top or at the bottom aren't really showing up because they're getting hidden behind this little border here. But that is your textured metal filled mug. All right. And we have plenty of these mugs and lots of metal. So come on into the studio and make one for yourself, for your mom, for your dad, for your friends. They make a great gift and they're very functional. All right. Thanks for watching.